Europe is rearming at a pace not seen since the Cold War. Defense budgets are rising, NATO is expanding, and military factories are working around the clock. The common belief is simple. Europe is preparing for Russia's next major attack. But what if that's exactly the assumption the Kremlin wants Europe to make? What if Vladimir Putin's real strategy isn't to launch a massive invasion tomorrow, but to force Europe into a long and expensive confrontation that weakens it from within? Today, we'll examine why some analysts believe Europe may be preparing for the wrong kind of war, and why understanding Russia's long-term strategy could be more important than watching the next battlefield map. For more than 2 years, Europe has dramatically changed its security policy. Countries that once reduced military spending are now investing billions in new weapons, missile defense systems, drones, and ammunition production. NATO has expanded its presence across Eastern Europe, while governments continue supporting Ukraine with financial and military aid. These actions reflect genuine concerns about regional security, but they also raise a strategic question. Is Europe preparing for the conflict Russia actually wants to fight? Military history shows that great powers rarely rely on a single method of competition. While conventional military operations remain important, modern conflicts increasingly combine economic pressure, cyber operations, political influence, energy policy, and information campaigns. Instead of focusing only on the battlefield, countries often seek to shape public opinion, strain alliances, and test the political unity of their rivals. From this perspective, the conflict extends far beyond tanks and missiles. Russia's position presents both strengths and limitations. Sanctions have increased economic pressure, military resources have been heavily committed, and the conflict has imposed significant costs. At the same time, Moscow continues investing in missile production, drone technology, and defense manufacturing. Rather than seeking rapid victories, Russia may calculate that time itself is a strategic advantage if political divisions emerge among its opponents. This possibility deserves careful analysis because long conflicts often produce unexpected political consequences. Europe, meanwhile, faces several internal challenges. Inflation, energy costs, defense spending, elections, and public debates over long-term military support have all become increasingly important political issues. Different European governments often agree on broad objectives while disagreeing on methods, budgets, and priorities. Maintaining unity over many years can become just as difficult as responding to military threats. In strategic competition, endurance sometimes matters more than speed. Another factor attracting attention is Europe's industrial capacity. Producing advanced weapons, rebuilding stockpiles, and expanding defense industries require years of investment. Military planners across NATO have emphasized the importance of strengthening production lines and supply chains. The question is whether Europe can increase its defense capabilities while also managing economic growth, social spending, and political expectations. These are difficult balancing decisions that every democracy must address. From Moscow's perspective, creating uncertainty may itself be a strategic objective. If European governments remain uncertain about where future pressure might appear, whether in cyberspace, energy markets, maritime security, or conventional military operations, they may feel compelled to invest across multiple areas simultaneously. Such uncertainty can increase financial and political costs, even without major changes on the battlefield. Strategic ambiguity has long been recognized as an important element of international competition. At the same time, it is important to avoid oversimplifying Russia's strategy. International politics rarely follows a single master plan. Decisions are shaped by military realities, economic conditions, diplomacy, domestic politics, and reactions from other countries. Analysts continue to debate Moscow's long-term objectives, and reasonable experts often disagree. Understanding these uncertainties is essential, because geopolitical analysis should distinguish between evidence, informed assessment, and speculation. The coming months could become particularly important. Europe continues expanding defense cooperation, NATO is adapting its long-term planning, and discussions about military readiness remain central across the continent. Russia, meanwhile, continues adjusting its own military production and strategic messaging. Whether these developments increase stability through deterrence or increase tensions through misunderstanding will depend on decisions made by political leaders on all sides. History repeatedly demonstrates that major powers sometimes misjudge each other's intentions. During previous periods of international rivalry, strategic misunderstandings occasionally contributed to prolonged crises that neither side originally intended. This is why careful analysis matters. Preparing for every possible threat is impossible, but preparing for the most likely risks requires correctly identifying the nature of the challenge. So, is Europe preparing for the wrong war? The answer remains uncertain. Europe's military investments may strengthen deterrence and reduce future risks. At the same time, Russia may continue relying on a broader mix of military, economic, political, and informational tools rather than seeking only conventional battlefield success. The real challenge for European leaders is ensuring that today's preparations match tomorrow's realities instead of yesterday's assumptions. If there's one lesson from modern geopolitics, it's this: wars are no longer fought only on battlefields. They are fought through economies, technology, alliances, information, and political resilience. Understanding that wider picture may ultimately matter far more than predicting the next military offensive. If you enjoy in-depth geopolitical analysis that goes beyond the headlines, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Let me know in the comments. Is Europe preparing for the right challenge or focusing on the wrong one?